6 p.m. by my clock, so we'll go ahead and get started if everyone could prepare for the meeting. We will start with our invocation by Mr. Stokes, followed by a salute to the flag, please, right?
Let us pray. Dear God, thank you for blessing us as we meet this evening, and may your wisdom guide us in our decision-making for the city of Jacksonville Beach. We ask that you protect us during these uncertain times and for the continued protection for our neighbors and loved ones. We ask that you protect the frontline healthcare professionals as they fight this pandemic and work to save the lives of those who are sick. We ask that you protect those who serve our great nation in the armed forces, our law enforcement officers, and all those who put themselves in harm's way for our continued safety and freedom. We ask all this in your name, Lord. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Dumont? Here. Holding? Here. Jansen? Mesa?
Here.
Nichols?
Here.
Stokes?
Here.
Mayor Hoffman?
Here. Item number 014.
I move that we approve the regular council meeting minutes held on January 19, 2021.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any announcements from the council, Ms. Golding?
Thank you, Mayor. I have several announcements. First of all, for those of you who may not have seen it, the 15th Avenue North pedestrian crosswalk has been installed by the city of Jacksonville. And the police department has done some public education, and they're continuing to do so because people need to get used to the fact that there is a pedestrian crosswalk there now. And so just want to remind people, if you're driving on Penman Road and you see the lights flashing at 4th Avenue North or at 15th Avenue North, that means you need to stop to allow pedestrians to cross. And for the pedestrians, just want to remind you, please do not cross until you see the vehicle stop. And then also wanted to mention that the City of Jacksonville Traffic Engineering Department also repainted or restriped all the crosswalks at 18th Avenue North, Arden Way, and Seagate Avenue, so they're way more visible, and I'm very grateful for that. Then wanted to mention, so one of the things for the benefit of the newer council members, for the last 2 years I've been working on trying to get a Penman Road study done by the city of Jacksonville so that we can improve pedestrian and bicycle safety on Penman Road. And some progress is slowly but surely being made. There was a proposal that was issued by the city of Jacksonville, and they now have moved forward with a consultant that they have selected, and they're in the process of negotiating a contract with the consultant. So it may be spring before we see the consultant starting on the study, but at least progress is being made. I also wanted to remind everybody that Beaches Watch is having a meeting Wednesday, February 3rd at 7, and it's via Zoom. It would be a good one for any council members or anybody in the community to attend this meeting, because Scott Dudley, who's with the Florida League of Cities, is going to be talking about the 2021 legislative session, the priorities that are important to our municipalities, and home rule, which is really important. And then also just a couple of shout outs, because our police department has been doing some pretty amazing things in the last month. There have been a lot of high profile cases that have been solved, and a couple of them that I wanted to point out, Officer Harper and Officer Williams saved the life of a stabbing victim, and Chief Smith has recently recognized them with the Meritorious Service Award, which is very impressive. Thanks to those guys for all that they've done. And then also, near and dear to my heart, everybody knows I love dogs. I want to shout out to Corporal Morris Engel and Officer Dustin Gibson, who recovered the dog that was stolen recently. And the owners, I wanted to mention, the owners have issued a $5,000 reward for the return of the dog. And the police department said they were not able to take the reward, but the family decided to donate the money to the FOP. So, happy ending for everyone, and thank you so much to those officers for the great job they did as well.
Thank you. Great announcements. Ms. Dumont?
I don't know if I can beat those announcements. Ditto. And what she said, I'm just going to put the ditto in there. I'd just like to thank all of the residents who've been coming out on what seems to be the coldest nights, hanging out and having meetings outdoors in Huguenot Park to discuss some issues that we've been having down there. So I want to thank all of them, and specifically Jason and his team, as he's been setting these meetings up. I see a lot of great things happening there. We've gotten a lot of wonderful feedback about the repaved avenues in South Jacks Beach. They are happy with them, so thank you for that. And a lot of information about, I've been receiving a lot of complaints, I guess is how I'll put it, or concerns. I've been receiving a lot of concerns about speeding that's been going on, well, speeding and increased traffic that's going on Osceola and the back way into where Whole Foods is. And the police the police have an eye on that area, and they're on top of it. So please know that the police are aware and are in the area taking care of that. Thank you.
And in case you somehow missed it, Margaritaville, Jacksonville Beach is now open. The ribbon cutting was last week, I think on Tuesday. And other big news in Jacksonville Beach, Demolition on the Campeche Bay, Ruby Beach Brewing buildings commenced. So we'll see a lot of movement on that project here coming soon. So those were two pretty exciting developments for Jacksonville Beach. Also, if you missed it, there is now a statewide website to sign up and to kind of get in line for your COVID vaccination. So if you're already in the 65 plus age group and haven't received it yet, what our state representative Cordberg is asking everyone to do is go ahead and sign up so that we can make a case for a vaccination site at the beaches. So we want to show as many possible eligible and willing potential vaccines available here in our community to justify moving a site out here. That's all I have. Nobody else. We'll move on with courtesy of the floor. Our first card is Nicole Davinoge. Did I say that correctly? Close enough? Okay, I got the show. If you could just give us your name and address, you'll have 3 minutes to address the council.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Nicole Davinoge, and I live at 617 Oak Street in Neptune Beach. I am the chair of First Coast Surf Rider, which is from Crescent Beach north all the way to Fernandina Beach. And I've been working with a lot of different mayors and people who are concerned, including Beaches Watch, about some of the marine debris here at the beaches. We do run a beach cleanup at least once a month in Jacksonville Beach, right out the pier area. And one of the things that's one of the most disturbing were balloons and the string, as well as the lanterns. We had discussed a local entity here who has very good intent, was going to do a lantern release, and we were really concerned. And thankfully, when we reached out to them, they decided not to do it, and they did something instead. However, there needs to be an update to the ordinance, in our opinion, to prevent and to educate the public on the damage that can do to marine life. Working with the Beach Patrol, the Sea Turtle Patrol, as well as all the other groups like Beaches Go Green that are all seeing some of this litter. It's one of the things that is pretty simple that we can do, and across the board have a comprehensive code on the island where everyone knows that it's unacceptable to release them. Neptune Beach has already passed it, Atlantic Beach has already passed it, Fernandina Beach has already passed it, and they've all done one that worked for their cities, but I would love to see that be put on the agenda here in the city of Jacksonville Beach. In addition, I just wanted to talk to, of course, the single-use plastics, cigarette butts still being number one on the beach. But as a city with all this development and all these new residents coming in that might not live in Jacksonville Beach but are certainly benefiting from its beautiful beaches, I would love to see some work towards things such as straw and request programs, city compost sites, and anything put on city property that you're working with vendors who are not producing large amounts of single-use trash. Recyclable, I'm sure you've already heard, is not really going to be a solution anymore. It never was. And anything that's a single-use plastic breaks down into a zillion particulates, and we're in crisis mode right now. So anything we can do island-wide would be of benefit. And I'd love to see all the beaches mayors work together on something. I've been talking to a lot of the businesses, and I know Margaritaville in particular, that is one of their main things. I know they're working on their Florida Land Trust benefit this coming month to work on the small islands, further conservation, but what they're producing with large amounts of people coming in and out of this area with 3 new hotels going in. People don't live here, they don't understand how ecologically sensitive we are. I'd love to see some work done on that, and I'd be happy to give you plenty of materials of what other cities have done because of preemption and home rule. Thank you guys very much. Have a great evening.
Perfect timing. Thank you, Mrs. Deepenoge. Next up, not a stranger to our podium and needs no instructions, Mr. Ken Marsh. Oopsie. Anyone else going to do that?
Ken Marsh, 2011 Gale Avenue. I wanted to share with you some recent pictures that I took at Sunshine Park that were taken right before last week's CRA meeting. I use these pictures to explain to the CRA that they need to advance the current time frame of an entire replacement of the kids' playground. Currently, your CIP has a replacement scheduled for 2024 at a cost of around $400,000. Tonight, I'm recommending to council, as I did with CRA, that this be advanced into the 2022 budget at an amount that will meet or exceed the current type kids playground that we currently have there. One of the key objectives of the budget is to focus on prioritizing and maximizing our current assets. Clearly from these pictures, we have fallen short. This park is supposed to represent the crown jewel of our Jax Beach parks, and it is shameful to let it fall into such a state of disrepair. But this is more than just repairs. It is time for a replacement. It is important to note that this is not a reflection on Jason and the rest of the Parks and Rec team. This is about them trying to hold our parks together with spit and baling wire. Sunshine Park needs more money and your help. What is particularly sad is that this park is located in our CRA and South End CRA district. It is one of the few parks that has the advantage of being located in a special taxing district. The South End receives about $5 million in tax revenues every year. Last 2 years, we've given $6.5 million back to the COJ, and I recognize that we get a third back in the general fund. But there are claims that we are mature and no longer have projects to spend the money, so we're returning some back. We could have used this return money to build a brand new state-of-the-art playground, but we did not do so. Talking about the permanent reduction of the South End tip of 50% will be a topic for another 3-minute session, which I'm sure you'll look forward to. Tonight I want to focus on putting the playground replacement in the 2022 budget. So my request tonight goes to the 3 new at-large council members, and my request is that I ask you guys to go to the park, take a look around, and ask yourselves, will this park last for another 2 more years? And while you're down there, I have one more request. There are several unimproved areas adjacent to South Beach Parkway and the park that is unimproved, but we have not developed a capital project plan for. So I'm going to ask you to take a look at that because our project plan is incomplete. In addition, I ask that you take and ask the money that it would take to build this urban trail to take our South End community from the west side over to the beach area, which is not in our project plan. So my issue tonight is let's try to get the Sunshine Park Kids Playground in our 2022 budget, and looking out further to 2047 when the CRA is disbanded, we should have a plan for future replacements so the Jacks Beach residents have a new park in place before we assume 100% of our maintenance costs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. All right, the first item of our agenda is to discuss city manager's annual performance evaluation, and there is a motion associated with that, so we'll go ahead and have the motion made and then do discussion following that. Everyone's okay there?
I move that we approve the 3% annual merit increase for the city manager.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Just for the benefit of the audience and anyone who may be watching, we had a briefing where we went over Mr. Sophopoulos' performance review in detail. This is his completion of his second year, and as I think I said the last time, I'm going to refer to him as our new city manager. He is now our seasoned veteran city manager, and while the first year was focused greatly on improving internal structure, morale, et cetera, and culture, second year was focused on that other C word that is not culture, that I'm not going to mention tonight. And I think this year we all agree that the focus will be on strategic planning and looking forward across all segments of our city's future. So I'm very happy to support this evaluation, which I think we can all agree was very good, and look forward to working with Mr. Sophopoulos going forward. I see no other discussion. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Demott,
Yes?
Golding,
Yes.
Mesa,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Stokes,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Sophopoulos, for your service. And 21016 was removed from the agenda. Got that? Okay. 017, please.
I move that we approve and authorize retroactively the 4 current grant applications to be submitted and the BES share funding that outlined in the, as outlined in the graph in this memorandum for each BES project.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Sorry, I did not go to staff for a report. Can we get a staff report?
Mayor and council, this item is effectively to bring the council up to speed on grant applications that one of our departments has filed for. It's not actually looking to accept a grant at this point in time, but one of the things that we've determined in administration is that we do not have a robust grant policy in place. One of the things I would like to see going forward is that anytime we are pursuing a grant that has a potential financial contribution of more than $25,000 from the city, which is our purchasing threshold, that we would come to you in advance of even the application process. The reason being is that if you get selected for a grant and you ultimately reject that grant, that may put you in a worse position in future years to pursue a grant. In the case of Beaches Energy, there are multiple grants that they are pursuing, both from the perspective of FEMA and from the Department of Economic Opportunity, FDEO. As you can see from the agenda memo and the dollar amounts that we're talking about, they are very large proportionate shared grants in order to do further undergrounding of the Beaches Energy system throughout the entire service district from Neptune through Jacks Beach and down into Ponte Vedra and St. Johns County. Because of the dollar amounts involved, we wanted to make sure that our council was aware that the applications are in and that you support us proceeding forward in this fashion. In the event that we receive either of these grants, you can only receive one, not the other. So if we were to receive one of these grants, we would come back to council and seek formal authorization to enter into the grant agreement at that time. We do have Beaches Energy Services Director Alan Putnam here if you have any questions on the actual applications involved. And
Mayor, I just wanted to also add that with respect to grants that we apply for, an accepted grant often has many requirements and obligations that tie the city to that grant. And if we fail to meet any of those requirements and obligations, then we'll have to refund and return the monies and sometimes also incur a penalty, and then that may also add us to the blacklist. So that's just an additional reason to bring it forward to council.
Are there any questions from council? So, Mr. Putnam, along those lines, and I love the sound of us starting to have grants policy, proactively applying for grants. Do you, if you were to receive either of these, do you have someone responsible for the management of the grant? Do we have the capacity for that?
Yeah, Alan Putnam, Director of Beach Zoning. We actually do. Don Clevis, our head of engineering. This is his baby. This is what he does for us. He's excellent at it. He would run it. I wanted to mention that, you know, like you said, it's either one or the other. If we're granted one, we don't get the other one. But when we do have the capacity in our long-term for our capital, that we could do this, we could bring this money forward, but we'd have to just rearrange things over the next, 3 to 4 years to get it done. But it would be a huge benefit to our service territory.
Great, thank you. Mr. Nichols?
Is he the one writing the grant applications as well?
Absolutely.
And do you feel like we're getting, we're pursuing the most amount of grants that we possibly can? Are there others out there that we're missing?
No, we're pretty good at finding grants, especially related to the electric system. These are the two biggest grants opportunities I've ever seen. They came out of the last 2 hurricanes, Matthew and Irma. That's the impetus for a lot of this. FEMA is behind one of them, and the state of Florida is behind the other one. So I've never seen anything like this. And we've been told that the money is available for almost everything that was applied for. So we're hopeful that we get the big ones.
I hope so too. Let's get it all underground.
Ms. DeMello?
Thank you. I just want to mention that for years, Mick DeRosia stood at that podium asking when the lines were going to go underground. West of 3rd, for years he asked that. He is no longer with us, so when I read this, I smiled and I thought of Mick. So it's done. Hopefully it will be done.
Did you have another question? Seeing no other lights, Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Golding? Yes. Mesa?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Stokes?
Yes.
Dumont?
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman?
Yes, motion carries. Madam Clerk, will you read the ordinance by title only? Or 21-018 item?
An ordinance of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 32, Article 7, Sections 32-180 through 32-184, to make corrections consistent with current state and national plumbing code standards, and to adapt to the city's follow program needs, providing for legislative findings, repeal conflicting ordinances, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. This ordinance is before the council for a public hearing and consideration on its second reading. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 2020-8156. Now we will seek any public comment from those in favor of the ordinance. Any public comment from those opposed to the ordinance? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to adopt?
I move that we adopt ordinance number 2020-8156 on the second reading, amending Chapter 32 of the City Code of Ordinance by revising various articles and sections.
Second. We have a motion and a second. This is an item that we've discussed at our briefing as well as at the first hearing at our last meeting. But does anyone have any additional questions? Staff, anything else to add before we vote? All right, Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Mesa?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Stokes?
Yes.
Dumont?
Yes.
Golding?
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman?
Yes, motion carries. Next item, 21-019, Madam Clerk, will you read the ordinance by title?
An ordinance of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, to repeal Code of Ordinances Chapter 24, registrations of certain persons, in its entirety, providing for repeal, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. This ordinance is before the council for a public hearing and consideration on its second reading. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 2020-8158. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the ordinance? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the ordinance? Public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion?
I move that we adopt ordinance number 2020-8158 on the second reading, repealing City Code of Ordinance, Chapter 24, registration of certain persons in its entirety.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Again, this is on its second reading. Does anyone have any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Stokes?
Yes.
Demott?
Yes.
Golding?
Yes?
Mesa?
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman?
Yes. Motion carries. Item 21-020, Madam Clerk, will you read the ordinance by title, please?
An ordinance of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida to amend Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-1(e) of the Code of Ordinances to provide the city manager with limited sole discretion and authority to sell city-owned real estate that meets certain criteria and conditions, and to permanently delegate administrative authority to the city manager to determine surplus city personal property items and to place such property for sale by a competitive award process or by public auction or other means of dispose of it. Providing for legislative findings, repeal of conflicts, severability, codification, and effective date.
Thank you. This ordinance is before the council for a public hearing and consideration on its second reading. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 2020-8160. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the ordinance? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the ordinance? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. May I get a motion, please?
I move that we adopt ordinance number 2020-8160 on the second reading.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Again, this is our second reading on this item, and we have had a chance to discuss in briefing. Is there any other comments or questions from the council? Mr. City Attorney, please.
Yeah. Madam Mayor, I just wanted to advise the new council members that this ordinance is kind of a part of our overall effort to improve the procurement purchasing policy, and this is sort of one of the side issues that with respect to disposition of properties that the city holds, that we were able to at least get a handle on, because the procurement policy purchasing manual, that's a much larger project, and the changing of the whole purchasing code is going to be a large project. That's going to take a lot of time. So I just wanted to share with the new council members that this was an opportunity and a need that the manager and I believe we had, and I believe council feels the same way, an immediate need that we had. Manager was going to probably put it to use tomorrow morning, and it helps administration handle some city business, but it's not the ultimate change of the procurement purchasing policy. But that bigger project is going to take much more time. I just wanted to share that with the new members. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambrosio. Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
Councilmember Stokes?
Yes.
Demott?
Yes.
Golding?
Yes?
Mesa?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman?
Yes, motion carries. There is no other items on the agenda, so this meeting is adjourned.